Kia ora New Zealand, in your bulletin today, 10 Navy divers are heading to the Waikato coast to help search for the bodies of 2 Degrees boss Eric Hertz and his wife Kathy. Their plane crashed into the sea near Kawhia on Saturday. The divers are on board the HMNZS Manawanui, which should arrive at the crash site on Friday. Commander Kerry Driver says the crew is keen to be able to help and to bring some closure to the families. And allegations of bias are being thrown at the Prime Minister after it was revealed he rang his old friend Ian Fletcher and encouraged him to apply to head up the Government Communications Security Bureau. John Key told him to apply for the job after an initial shortlist was rejected. Labour leader David Shearer says the whole thing smells, and it's not just about the Prime Minister calling an old mate.
It's also about GCS being a spy agency, which is possibly the most unscrutinised agency that we have. So having a mate in charge of it, I think, raises serious concerns.
The Prime Minister doesn't believe there's evidence he influenced the decision to appoint Mr Fletcher as head of the GCSB.
In the end, there's a quite proper process that we go through. The fact that I might talk to somebody makes no difference. In the end, he went through a full process. There was a full board of people that looked at him and they thoroughly recommended him. And actually, no one's arguing he's not doing a great job.
And 2 hunters who activated an emergency beacon at 5 a.m. this morning in Fiordland have been rescued and are safe and well. A helicopter picked up the pair from George Sound after their campsite was flooded and they started to become hypothermic. The pair was part of a group of 5 hunters, one of whom was airlifted to safety with a broken leg on Thursday. And in overseas news, the US is warning North Korea will take action to secure a peaceful Korean peninsula as tension builds in the area. US Secretary of State John Kerry has had talks in Washington with the South Korean Foreign Minister.
The United States will defend and protect ourselves and our treaty ally, the Republic of Korea.
North Korea says it's in a state of war with the South and has begun reopening a nuclear facility capable of manufacturing plutonium needed for nuclear weapons. And ongoing violence in Myanmar has left thousands homeless as religious tensions between Buddhists and Muslims have killed 43 people last month and left dozens more injured. Whole city blocks have been burnt to the ground in some areas. Bill Robinson from the Human Rights Watch says the coming rainy season will bring more disaster for the stateless Rohingya Muslims who have been affected by the violence.
So we're looking at a major health crisis coming for the Rohingya as well, who have already been weakened by a lack of food and basic nutrients. So it is a slow-moving humanitarian disaster.
The head of the World Bank says for the first time in human history it is possible to eliminate poverty around the world. Jim Yong Kim told a Washington audience on Tuesday he wants to make ending world poverty by 2030 a top priority for the bank and governments around the world.
We're at an auspicious moment in history when the successes of past decades and an increasingly favorable economic outlook combine to give developing countries a chance, for the first time ever, to end extreme poverty within a generation.
Jim Yong Kim says the World Bank and other development agencies will need more resources to get the job done right.
Meeting this 2030 goal will require extraordinary effort. But is there anyone, anywhere, who doubts that the reward will be worth it? Is there anyone who has lived on less than $1.25 a day who would not join me here today in telling you that it's time to end extreme poverty?
And in another world first, the airline Samoa Air will soon charge passengers per kilo, and it's not just baggage they'll be weighing, but people as well. Samoa Air will charge as little as $1 per kilo and says the policy is simply about payloads and getting its aircraft safely off the ground. House of Travel Commercial Director Brent Thomas says it's unlikely a similar fat tax would ever make it to New Zealand. And back home, and South Islanders have 25 days to ensure their televisions are switched over to digital. However, 8% of South Island households with TVs still haven't made the change, and North Islanders will also go entirely digital by December. And finally in sports, Kiwi Steven Adams, who was the brother of Valerie Villi, has declared himself for the NBA draft. The 19-year-old 7-footer looks like he could well be the 3rd Kiwi to play in the NBA. And that was your news for Wednesday the 3rd of April. Ka kite anō.